That is such a joy that we get to do that. We get to be a part. And I'm so thankful. I'm thankful for our friends that are here today. And so I want us to give Bob and Judy Willard hold on. But this is cool. They're from the Meeting Place Church and the Tavern Coffee House. They've got so many things going on. Like the list is just endless, what God has done and what God is doing. And here's the thing, they're not just missionaries who we support. These are our friends. And we're so privileged to have them here today to share what God is doing. So can we give them a warm Rockside welcome?
Thank you, Pastor Michelle.
Absolutely, sir.
Definitely friends. We love Rockside. We love Pastor Michelle. Where did Vaso go? You did such a great job of putting missions out there. I have to say thank you that you all support us, and we really appreciate that. But as you were talking, the thing that came to my mind, look around you. I mean, it's nicely decorated, but it's a pretty ordinary, four walls and stuff. But your giving reaches around the world. It's amazing to think of the impact that you all can have right from your seat there, just by giving two missionaries around the world. So that's awesome. We're done. No, no. As we were planning this, so actually, and then once we got here this morning, so many things have come to mind. But let me first start with as I was planning this with Pastor Michelle, what your theme was, Home for Christmas, and my mind started thinking about a young man from San Diego in Officers Candidate School in Rhode Island, in Newport, Rhode Island. Had been there for a couple of months, experiencing all kinds of new things that were totally unfamiliar. And that opportunity for leave, for 5 days of leave to go home for Christmas was huge, because I knew what it would be. I knew the Christmas ham. I knew where the tree would be. It was familiar. It was a stable. It was an anchor in my life. And then even a few years later, floating in the Indian Ocean, I could imagine what was happening at home for Christmas, even though I couldn't be there. And that just gave me this picture of the faithfulness of God. He's unchanging. We as humans, home is pretty stable, but it's nothing compared to the faithfulness of God. Lamentations chapter 3, verse 22 says, "The faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh each morning. I say to myself, the Lord is my inheritance, therefore I will hope in him." It's God is unchanging. And it's just, we, in our ministry, we go through some ups and downs, but he's unchanging. We continue to see God working behind the scenes when we least expect it, when we think life's moving on, but then boom, it's like, God, what were you doing there? When we got here this morning, Judy and I realized that there's a lot of old friends, but there's a lot of new faces. And so we should have given this to your tech team earlier, but this if you take a look at it, it's a really, really simple breakdown. We're U.S. missionaries, but we pastor a small church on Buckeye Road, the Meeting Place Church. And then through the Meeting Place Church, we have some outreach ministries to our community. We have the Tavern Coffee House. Everybody loves coffee, right? Well, the people on Buckeye Road love coffee, and it's a good way to connect with them and grow relationships. And then, of course, the Meeting Place Learning Center that we reach children and families, and also even under that is the preschool. So that was extra here this morning. We just realized that maybe some of you folks didn't know exactly what we do, but just kind of an update on the ministry, just to talk about some of the things that are happening. I said that God's working behind the scenes, and there's so much really great stuff. Just this week, I found out that in our neighborhood, there's a couple that are associated with the church in Lyndhurst, with First Assembly in Lyndhurst, that want to plant a Hispanic church in our neighborhood. So it's like, I know a place that they could rent or partner with and have a space to be able to do this. And God's doing that, and I didn't even know it. The other thing that we wanted to talk about was the bus. You may, if you follow us on Facebook or anything, started back in September. We started trying to raise some money for a bus for our students, and it's great how God works behind the scenes. Helped us find those small mini buses are really, really expensive. New ones are so expensive. I don't know why people think that it's cool to drive a Range Rover or something, to impress your friends. You ought to just drive a minibus, because then they know you really have a lot of money. But we were able to find one. We had to go all the way to Phoenix, Arizona to find one, but God was able to work behind the scenes to bring about the finances and the right bus to be able to meet our needs. And here's the really, really cool part of the story is that in our minds, we were on the surface. We were like, we need this bus to help our students get to the learning center. But of course, the learning center and the church were all one family. And if you know anything about the demographics of our neighborhood, most of our folks don't have cars. And so being able to provide a family with a ride, just like 3 weeks ago, we had 40 people in our little church, which is pretty full, because we were able to help people get to church. So it was a double bonus. It provides safe transportation for our students, and yet it helps us, get people to church. Help us to see people come to our church and to be part of that. So church growth, the Hispanic church that's pop up in our space. It's like, God, what are you doing here? You were doing so many awesome things, and it's because you folks helped keep us on the mission field there on the east side of Cleveland. I think we have a video of it was a thank you video that we created for the bus, and then Judy can talk.
All children need a place to learn and grow, a place to feel safe. We are that place. The Meeting Place Learning Center has been that place for over 15 years. All parents surveyed last year saw TMPLC as a safe place, but we wanted to make it as safe as possible. As our students walk down to the program, they have to avoid fights, walk by multiple registered sex offenders, and arrive in the hot, cold, rain, and snow. To make our students safer, we needed reliable transportation. For 3 years, we have been navigating the challenges of funding, logistics, and finding the right fit. Until now.
We have a surprise for you.
We have a bus. We can now pick our students up from their school safely. We can now get students home that don't have a ride. The Meeting Place Church can now pick up families to get them to church on Sunday. And that's all because of you. Thank you for your support, your prayers, your leads, and your finances. We could not have made this big step without you. God bless you all.
Seen that video before, but man, it kind of got me choked. Those are precious. Yeah, wow, home for the holidays. Let me just keep it moving, right? What God is doing behind the scenes, you just don't know. You know, and that's the element of faith that we have as Christians, right? That we trust, that we know, you know, God has you on his mind. That thought came to me, you know, this morning. It's like, we don't have to do anything. He already has us on his mind. And I'm grateful for that. So I have a couple stories talking about kind of with that, resonating with that, home for the holidays. Suddenly, I love God and his suddenlies. We had another Caucasian person in our service, which is kind of unusual because we're about the only Caucasians. And so we just, you know, waved and said, welcome, you know, and that kind of thing. But afterwards, she came and she spoke to Bob and I. And she's actually been overseas with YWAM for several years and has come back to the States, and her history is with the Assemblies of God, but she really has a lot of interest in what we're doing. But she's not sure. She's just kind of wanted to come and check us out. Last week she came to the Learning Center and wanted to tour the Learning Center. We don't know why, and I'm willing to let her just, you know, okay. She has a great job in a field that she really loves, but she's still drawn to Cleveland, and she's still drawn to our ministry. So we'll see, right? We'll see what God does. We'll see where God puts her at home. So then, my thing goes away. Then I have this crazy stocking story. You know, we've been doing stockings for several years. We were taking them down to the public housing. Well, they flattened the public housing. But we still had people from Nebraska and Iowa, Kansas that were sending us stockings. So I was like, we got to do something with these stockings. And obviously, it's a ministry we still need to do. So we started going to the local schools, which has been wonderful. And we got a box, and we couldn't figure out where it came from. And finally, Bob says, well, should I just call? There's a number here. Should I just call it? I'm like, yes, let's just call it. Come to find out, making a long story short as we're figuring this out, the lady on the phone said, this is what all my daughter asked for Christmas. Is I send stockings to the children in Cleveland. You think we're still supposed to do this? Yes, that's a resounding yes, right? So I think those are just two kind of crazy ways that God just keeps letting us know. Yeah. The other one is a duplex. You get a duplex, you see it behind your building. We have this building that has 3 different parts to it. There's a building behind it. And everyone has said that has come to visit us or to do the tour, hey, you guys should get that. Like, yeah, we're trying. Pastor Bob, bless his heart, works tirelessly. Home for those who don't have a home. That's what we're trying to do with that space. It's kind of sat in, I don't want to say flatline, because that's, extreme, but it hasn't gone anywhere. But God's timing, right? We have a lot of arms to our ministry, as you saw. We kind of run out of arms. And I did only have 4 kids, and they're all in ministry. I can't have any more. So we are definitely waiting on God for who that person, that specialized person, to create that, or a ministry again to come alongside, like City Mission has and others in our wonderful city to help those that need it. But what if God is calling and there are those that are not heeding his call? That's a thing. Let me just give you a little backstory, and I promise I'll be quick. I don't know what my time is. So the backstory is Bob was missing a whole summer with his kids. He had taken a very lucrative job in Ohio, actually. We came from Indiana. And here's me sitting there all summer, getting a little bit resentful. Just being honest. I'm just real. I'm just, as they say, where I come from, it's just the real. We had promised each other, after Bob got out of the military, that we would never live apart again. Hence my resentfulness. But God was working behind the scenes. If I hadn't have allowed that to happen, if I could have pitched a real big baby fit, right? But God was preparing Bob to live by faith and to trust him with his family, because he was raised very strictly to be the provider and to provide for his family. But look what God did. I have these in capital letters in my notes. Look what God did by bringing us to Ohio. Look what he's still doing. But we had to walk there. We had to live through there. And a lot of times we forget those parts of the story. But the backstory is what brings you to where you are. And for all of the wonderful things, not only that God can do, even through, I just had the thought that, well, maybe it's my grandchildren. He did give us those. But listen, I'm excited for what's to come. To be home for the holidays is good, and it's nostalgic. But that feeling of being home could also be walking within the will of the Father. Hebrews 13:14. For this world is not our permanent home. We are looking forward to a home yet to come. Gloria a Dios.
That's a really hard act to follow. But I think the theme here, besides home for Christmas, is that we know God is working behind the scenes, and he's working in some or one or all of you. Somebody might, somebody might be feeling that, hey, I need to, and I'm not calling y'all to be missionaries. It's not an easy life, and I wouldn't, if you say you're going to be a missionary, I'll try to talk you out of it first, and then if we're sure it's God's will, I'll back you. But even here, there's needs. There's needs, and there's only one Pastor Michelle. I mean, just like me, we've tried cloning, but it doesn't work. There's needs and there's opportunities for each of you to serve God as he directs. And I guess that's the challenge for this week, is to get on your knees and seek God's face and say, God, how can I have my part in building the kingdom of God here in Independence, in Cleveland? You're talking about all the missionaries around the world. And I just pray that each one of you would do that you would ask God, hey, what is my part? What can I do? Where can I step up? That's a big challenge. Sometimes it's not easy to say yes. But when you do, you will experience untold blessings from God. So let me just pray with you all. I say thank you for supporting us, and thank you for having us here to just give you a little update and to encourage you. So, Father God, I just lift up to you all these great people here at Rockside, the entire Rockside family, God. I just thank you for them. I thank you for their faithful support of what we're doing and the other missionaries around the world. And I pray, Lord, right now that you would send your Spirit to speak to each one, to call them to their part of this big equation, their part of this puzzle. Each one here fits in some way, to give, to go, to send, to work here at home. I pray, God, that you would challenge each one of them to step up and say, yes, I'll do my part. And Father God, I just ask you to bless Pastor Michelle and the staff and every part of Rockside Church as they're faithful and they give and they work hard for the kingdom. I pray that you would strengthen them and restore them, refresh their souls, refresh their spirits. And Father, I just pray blessings upon this church family. I pray blessings of strength and of health, strong family relationships. And I pray that they would be prosperous, that they could truly be known as children of the King.